Welcome to the Good Dudes Podcast with Aaron James and Logan Bean.
Where each week we're going to talk through the ins and outs of everyday life through a Christian perspective.
So let's do it.
Good Dudes Podcast, episode 2. Aaron, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Are you excited about this?
I am, dude.
It's been a week.
After last week's episode, I was like we could have done 2 or 3 probably at the same time. Like, it was pretty...
I wanted to keep going.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want it to end, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking, while we were editing the last one, and we were like... coming into it, we were like, 30 minutes of us talking, like, that's going to be kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
Because it is different than just having a normal conversation.
Right.
You got mics, and you got cameras and all kinds of stuff and lights. And so it's way different than just having a normal conversation. Yeah. But we were both like, it's going to be like 30 minutes can be hard.
I was worried that I was like, man, I'm going to have to stretch what I got to say because I don't know if I can make it that long.
And we went for an hour.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I was like,
oh my
goodness, an hour and 6 minutes. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. But it felt
But
short.
it didn't feel like it took that long.
I know.
Like, I just kept looking down. I was like, oh my goodness, like, wow.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
But hey, so this week, new topic, a little
what
different.
What we got?
This week we're going to talk about creativity.
Ooh.
We talked about kind of the goals last week and stuff. And so this week, our main goal is to be creative and to, continue being creative. And so we want to really talk about like where that kind of comes from and like how we're creative and just, the things that strive and drive us to be creative.
Yeah.
So what do you got?
Man, so as I was thinking about it, I really think that a lot of the way my brain works is because my childhood. I homeschooled there.
That's kind of how that works.
I really think everything I know is because of everything I learned.
I learned all this stuff, and all of a sudden now that's what I know.
No, but I was homeschooled there for a good while, and so I kind of. I'm just kidding, but I had to have kind of a good imagination to have any fun, which homeschooling it had its pros and cons, but I really didn't get that. Social aspect of things.
Sure.
So where I was with all these kids every day, I got to see how different people worked and stuff like that. It was pretty much just home and church.
Yeah.
Which was good. There's a lot of positives to it. But so with that being said, I was around my family most of the time and my extended family most of the time. So, and I was lucky to have both sides of my family, mom's side, dad's side, was just different personalities.
Sure.
Different senses of humor, and so I kind of got the best of both worlds as far as being I don't know being able to get the good out of being homeschooled, and I understand that sometimes I don't know what I'm trying to say right now.
You got 2 different walks of life, right? I mean,
because
that's how my family is too. Like, they're very different on either side, and so you get to see 2 sides of people and 2 different types of people and styles of people. And I agree, like, there was a lot of growing up that sparked creativity. And I remember having teachers, like, because I wasn't homeschooled, and so like I had all different kinds of teachers and that would inspire some creativity, but you sometimes could get lost in the crowd if you weren't like the most creative. And I never felt like I was the most creative or the least creative. Like, I felt like I was just somewhere in the middle, sometimes getting lost in the crowd.
A little bit mediocre.
And so, and that's a lot of it. And so, for me, I watched a lot of people do creative stuff, and I was always like, I want to do something like that. But I never could do what they did. Yeah. Like, it was always different. I would always be like, that's super cool. I want to do that. And then I'd try to do that, and I'm like, I'm not good at it. Like, playing guitar. That's always been one of those things that I'm like, I've seen a lot of people do. I've owned guitars. Mm-hmm. Like, I own like 3 guitars, and I can't play any of them. But like, it's always something, I see and I'm like, I want to do that. And then I try and I'm like, it's a lot of work, know? But then some people have it naturally and they can just pick it up and play it. Yeah. And luckily I've got other instruments that I can do and other things I can do, instead of guitar and music. But it was always something that was hard, and different.
Yeah. And like you said about, there was always people that were it came so naturally to them, and you're like, oh man, I wish I could do stuff like that. And for me, it's pretty intimidating because I have these thoughts and I have these ideas of how I want something to go, and that I think would be cool. And then I see somebody else do something, and it seems like it just leaps and bounds a lot better than me. So I get intimidated. So I know what you mean.
I remember being in elementary school and like having music class, and they would do the talent side of things, and you're like, great, I gotta find something to do.
Yeah.
And I remember people would get up there and play piano, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that just sounds like that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, and it sounds like, oh, you can just do that. That's neat. Like whatever. But like all the years of work that you didn't see went into it.
That's true.
Like they're still being creative and doing it, but like there was a lot of hours of practice. I mean, the guys that could play guitar, there was a lot of hours of practice before I ever saw them.
Yeah.
And that's just not something that I did at the time. So,
all right.
But for me, like even now, like watching what people and what other people are putting out, what other people are doing, and trying to almost recreate some of that.
With your own little twist.
With my own twist. Yeah. That's where a lot of my creativity comes from.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I am always watching stuff, watching YouTube tutorials, YouTube videos. I mean, like I spend the majority of my time watching YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's always like, and it's different stuff, vastly different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything from guys that hunt and shoot guns all the time to guys who live in Canada and just do photography.
Yeah.
And I watch all their stuff, and it gives you that cool perspective of a different walk of life than what you're in. And I don't know, it just makes me want to be more creative.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I don't think I'll ever get to a point to where like, oh, I'm here. I'm at my max. I'm always wanting to grow and just build on what I know and what I've seen and what's, I may watch something. I may watch this one video and get something out of it and be like, that's, I want to work towards that. And you may get something completely different.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's always something that you're going to be working towards. And it's fun. It's fun. It's a good thing knowing that I'm not where I want to be yet.
Sure.
And if you ever get to that point, I don't know if I will, but
yeah. And I even look back over the last like last year. Okay. In the middle of this pandemic and all that. I look over this last year and I'm like, there's been so many things that I've done and gotten to do that I would have never dreamed that I could have done.
Yeah.
And that like, you try and compare it to other people and you're blown away. Like, oh, I did this myself,
Yeah.
Like there was just a lot of it, like, full services that were recorded online, that the whole concept and idea of how it was going to look and how it was going to sound was, I mean, me and two other people. And then how it was going to look was almost fully me.
Yeah.
Because I had to be the one that came up with where to shoot it and when to shoot it and how to shoot different parts of it. And so like there was a lot of it that you just had to do. And then the editing side of it, I was the only one that edited a lot of it.
Yeah.
And so you see these, big pieces of work that, I mean, there's other people who look at it, and I got a lot of messages that were like, hey, how are you doing this? Like, how are you by yourself doing this?
Yeah.
And I mean, there were several of them that I was just like, I don't know. I mean, this is what I thought it should look like. So I just did it.
Yeah.
Like there was no, oh, well, this person told me to do this. It was just, I thought this is what I was supposed to do and just started doing it.
And that's what's cool is not, you put so much work into everything that you do, but you started from somewhere. You started from a video or listening to somebody talk about how they set things up, and you kind of ran with it. But you put it into action, and now you're doing all this online stuff, or the Christmas stuff that we did for the church. Everything, I mean, that was all online and pre-recorded, and it's just proof that put it into action. You can get there. It's not out of reach.
Yeah, it's not obtainable, unobtainable. Yeah, it's crazy. But like for me, and we talked about a little bit last podcast, but that podcast from the Black Rifle guys, yeah, it just sticks out in my mind that is really a big driving factor for me. And it was Logan Stark and Jared Taylor, two of the guys from the Black Rifle team, on their podcast called Free Range America. And they're just talking about like being creative and like all the videos that they do and like the logos and the designs that they do. And they're saying how that like there's nobody really pushing that envelope, and there's not, and there really isn't.
Yeah,
they've got themselves in this niche that shouldn't be a niche, but for whatever reason is. You know, a coffee company that's putting out their own content. You wouldn't think would be a big deal.
Yeah,
but no one else is doing it.
Right.
And I mean, it's crazy. And like they've got the whole veteran side too, and so it's all these veterans that they're employing and that they're using, and it's just super cool to watch. But what they were saying like, hey, we'd love for somebody to come challenge us. We'd love for somebody to step up and be like, hey, we're going to take you on, and like call us out and, have something that would compete with our stuff. And that's what has made me strive to compete with other people's stuff and with theirs. Like, we shoot this podcast, and it's not the Joe Rogan experience. It's not, Peter McKinnon and Matty Hapoya's podcast. They're the two from Canada. They're photographers, but they do a podcast together. But it's shot so cinematically and nice and everything. And like, it's not that. But I want it to look as close as I can. Like, that's what I'm striving for, like always striving for something bigger and something better.
Yeah. So what would you, starting out, well, you have your own company now and stuff like that. Like you're doing this for real, and he's really good at. Where did that all start?
Man, I
like putting being saying like, okay, I actually, this is something that I want to pursue. This is something that I love doing, and then actually doing it.
So when I was a kid, I remember always liking photography, and I had the little point and shoot Kodak, like minimal zoom camera.
Yeah.
And like, I remember taking pictures on it and stuff, and always liking photography because I had an aunt who did photography a lot. And so she actually gave me like one of my first nicer cameras, and it was one of her older ones, and I still have it. And I every now and then I'll use it just to be like this is what I started on. Cause, it would just be like going, like one of the ones that sticks out is I would go to a car show here in Barling. And there's like 2 or 3 pictures of these cars that I'm like I took these and then edited them on some, free app on my iPod at the time.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I'm always almost dumbfounded. I'm like, I was like 14, 15, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. Like, it's really good.
Yeah.
And then I would go on vacation, and we went to Colorado on vacation. And I've got some pictures from out in Colorado on top of this mountain that I can see in my head. And I'm like these pictures aren't normal. It's not like some kid that had a camera.
Right.
It was better than that.
Right.
But it would just be like hit or miss here and few and far between. And it wasn't until I was in college and started working at the church that I really like started doing a lot of creative stuff with cameras and a lot of audio stuff. And, I was hired on to just do audio. And that was my whole job, was the recording and making sure all the audio equipment would work correctly. So I, immersed myself in it. Well, about a year into it, I was like, hey, I really enjoy taking pictures and doing a little bit of video stuff. So I just immersed myself and started watching tutorials and all kinds of stuff
just
on
put
YouTube.
Put in the work.
Yeah. And just playing around. And that was the biggest part of it with cameras. Was just, I just take one with me everywhere.
Yeah.
And anytime we were going on a trip or something, even if I got 5 pictures out of it that the church could use or that I could use or whatever, it was cool and it was fun and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And that just snowballed effect.
Yeah.
To the point where my job kind of changed and I started doing video, and I was like, okay, if I got to do this, our church runs 500 to 600 people at the time. And so I was like, there's going to be at least 600 people every Sunday watching my stuff. I was like, it's got to be good. Yeah. There's got to be some level of excellence with it that you've got to hold up. And so I was like, okay, I've really got to sit down and figure this out.
Yeah, because it's just you.
Yeah. And so luckily at the time I had, Mike and Matt to help me out, and they taught me some of the basics. But I mean, Premiere Pro is the one that we use. Like there's a lot of different video editing software, and Premiere is the one that we have and use. And I mean, it's a black hole. You can do anything and everything on it.
Yeah.
It's the same program that they use to make movies and stuff. Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, you can, as far as you want to go, you can use it. And so there's so much to do with it, but there's only so much you can teach somebody how to do before they've just got to figure it out.
Right.
And be really? Like, I want to do this. Okay, YouTube, how do I do this? And that's the biggest thing. And the thing that I tell so many people is like, when people ask me like, how do you get into photography, or can you teach me this? And I'm like, okay, here's the people I watched. You can go watch them and just do it. Get a camera, get a cheap camera, and start doing it. And a lot of it is like, you've got to have an eye for certain things.
Yep.
Just like in music, you've got to have an ear for certain things. But I mean, there's a lot of it that's just, you can build the habit to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you can watch enough stuff and hear enough people talk that you can figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's a challenge. It really is.
And I'm sure it's one of those things where like you do this, and then you kind of, after the fact, you sit down and you're like, okay, what was good about this? What was bad about this? What was an outcome that I really liked, and what wasn't so good, and just kind of go from there, right?
Yeah. Now the other side of that is you are your worst critique.
Yeah.
That's something that, when I was going through college in the music department, that they told us all the time, that you are your worst critique. And still to this day, I mean, I've got a video showing Sunday morning that I'm like, it's okay. And it made people cry the other day.
Yeah.
Like I had 3 people cry watching this video, and I'm like, it's okay.
But that's, in a way, that's a good thing though.
It is, because it always pushes me to be better.
Exactly.
I always want my stuff to be able to like the same that's on TV. And or the same that's on YouTube or whatever it is. And then I start looking at it and I'm like, oh, their camera costs 3 times what mine costs. Yeah. And their computer set rig costs way more than what mine costs, And so there's to a certain point, you get into that money factor. But I'm like, what I put out at 3 times less what they're using is still pretty good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
And like we talked about during, the pandemic and everything, when we were fully online recording stuff, there would be 2,000-3,000 people that would view my video.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, like 3,000 people. And I got emails and phone calls from people all over the US being like, all right, how are you doing this? What are you doing? Like, how are you making it look like this, sound like this, and stream this way? And I'm like, multiple people, I go, I'm shooting on a couple Canon 80Ds. And they go, wait, what? Like, we're some podunk church. We at least have a Blackmagic cinema camera that's like $1,000. I'm like, yep, nope, I ain't got that. I just use this little, but you make it work and you do the best you can, but yeah, it's crazy. And then, another podcast that I do is one for the church. And I've had multiple people be like, dude, this looks really good. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it does. It looks good.
Yeah.
And it's done well. But like, it's not something that I'm just like, oh, this is fantastic, the best thing ever. It's like, it could be better. But again, I'm doing it at like 1/3 of the price that somebody else could do it. Right. And so it's like, how much, and then I always think in the back of my mind, how much better could it be if I own the bigger equipment? But at the end of the day, like, it takes a lot to max out equipment. And there's not a whole lot that I feel like I have maxed out. And even professionals, they could, we carry around iPhones with cameras on them that are the same quality as the camera that we're shooting this on right now. Like, I've got the 12 Pro Max, I've got the big one, I've got the, I bought it because that's what I do. And I still could put it side by side of my camera and it'd be really close. Yeah. And everybody's got that in their pocket. And that's why, like, you don't have to have the big couple $1,000 camera to do something cool.
Oh yeah.
You just got to start somewhere. Start with what you've got. That's the biggest thing I love telling people is just like, you got a phone, take it out, shoot a couple pictures. Here's a free app that's pretty good. Edit it, post it.
Yep.
And be done with it.
Yeah.
Or don't post it. Go have it printed. Go have it done something. That's one thing that like I don't do that I wish I would, and that's print pictures.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like it's something that's kind of going away. And I'm always like, you know, I don't go back and look through my Instagram feed, you know.
Yeah.
Every now and then I'll scroll through if I'm looking for a certain picture.
Right.
I'll scroll through and like see it on my, you know, in my photos, or see it on my website as I'm updating it or whatever it is. But like, there's some photos I'm just like, oh, that's so good. I love this picture.
Yeah.
And we need to print them. I think I should. And if it's just, you know, it costs money, and to have them done right and to have them done to a quality and standard that you want is, you know, but.
And kind of going off that.
That's crazy.
I was thinking the other day that, you know, the pictures that I have on my phone and stuff like that, or that's on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I want those when, you know, when I get older, when I have a family and stuff like that. And it worries me that I'm not going to, because, you know, something could happen and those pictures are gone. Like, they're just up in the cloud.
It wouldn't take much. It really wouldn't. And that's what like scares me. And anybody that works with me will tell you I'm the world's worst about deleting footage. I have, like, currently on my computer in the next room, a 10 terabyte hard drive that I'm just like, I don't know what I'll ever do with it.
Yeah.
But I have every picture I've ever taken in the last 4 years.
Are you serious?
Every one of them. Good, bad, ugly.
Wow.
Even the bad ones. I'd never delete them because I'm always like, you never know, I might need something one day.
Man.
You know, that's hard. And it gets expensive to store. I mean, that thing's like $200.
Yeah.
You know, just to store stuff that you're not looking at.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, it's part of it. You know?
That's a safety net.
Yeah. So hopefully that one day I can at least get a hold of something, you know. It may not be the full edited ones, but at least I can get hold of something.
Right.
So what about you? Like, what about, how do you feel like you get your creativity, or where does it kind of stem from?
So, a lot of mine, I think, is kind of worship based. You know, I'll see really, as far as setting up for worship, house fires. They, I remember being on YouTube and they get in a circle, and as far as like audio and stuff like that, I don't know how it works because it doesn't make sense in my head, but they circle up and they're all just kind of facing each other, and then everybody else is around them. So they're not on some big stage or anything like that. And that's just really awesome. And that's, in a sense, that kind of creativity, it sets up a scene, a moment that you want.
Sure.
And anytime I go into planning a worship set or doing a Wednesday night or anything really different, it's what do I want to capture? And I know that it's up to the Lord. But in a sense, you know, it's kind of my responsibility to make a spot, make a place where that can be done. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same for me. You know, I want to create that moment in a video for God to do something.
Yeah.
You know, and for him to like use me to capture that moment. That's the biggest thing. Like, you create that a lot of times, you know, with us, it's you create that moment and I capture it.
Yeah.
Make sure it happens, you know, and that's kind of how it flows with us sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There's so much to it sometimes that it can get lost. And there's so much that I think there's so much that a lot of people don't see, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think about it all the time. I do all these videos and stuff, and it's, in the end, it comes out 3 minutes. Well, that's not 3 minutes of work.
No.
You know, a 3-minute video could be up to like 12, 13, 14, 16 hours of work. I did a Mother's Day video one time that is so cute and adorable. And it's all these little kids asking questions or talking, giving answers about their parents or their moms.
Yeah. And
that video was 1 minute and 30 seconds, 90 seconds. took me 17 hours to
serious?
do. Oh, I'm dead serious. Between shooting and like planning with everybody when to shoot and then editing all of it. Because, you know, a kid may have, you know, I asked him a question, and that question between me asking it and them actually giving me a good response, maybe 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And I use 4 seconds of it. So I have to go in and clip that little bitty bit and then move it all together. And it was just, it was such a headache.
Yeah. And a lot of times people, that's all they see is that little minute video. And they're like,
exactly.
Oh, that was good. That was a cool video. Nice. But like you said, they don't see all that goes into it.
Yeah. And even now, like we're surrounded by YouTube and, you know, Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff that
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And there's so many people doing it, but there's still so many people that don't realize how much it takes.
Yeah.
You know, like I watch YouTube videos all day long, like I said, and there's some creators that I watch that put out a video every day or every other day.
Yeah.
And I know how much time that takes. And that's a 20-minute video.
Yeah.
And they've got all the cuts and everything. And it's like, oh, that's a lot, you know?
Yeah.
And
it makes you appreciate
for
it
sure.
a lot more.
For sure. And respect them. Because, yeah, there's a lot of those guys that like, oh, it's crazy. I mean, I sit there and watch them, and like you can kind of tell where it's cut and when it's not cut, and you're like, oh my gosh, like okay, that 30 seconds had 10 cuts in it.
Yeah,
that means that there's really probably an hour that just happened in there, you know, that you didn't see, and that's it's just crazy, and it gets me.
You mentioned TikTok. What is there anything that you like to watch on TikTok? Or any people that you
know?
Certainly follow,
I've got people that I watch. Let's start with this. What's your honest opinion on TikTok?
I had Vine.
Okay. Very different. Same, but very different.
Yes, same, but very different. And the thing that bothers me about TikTok is just so repetitive.
Yes.
There's some good stuff on there, and I follow awesome people. But for the main part, it's just like you can scroll 10 times, and out of those 10 times, you'll get the same sound 5 times or the same idea 5 times.
The same person doing the same dance. That's what I'm not. I mean, I get it. Everybody wants. It's given a chance for everybody to get their stuff out there, which is great. That's awesome. I'm all for it. Get some original stuff out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to see you do the same TikTok dance that the last 5 people did.
Yeah.
And unless you're making fun of it, unless you're flipping the script and making fun of it, then I think it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But for the people who are using it like they used Vine, that we've seen huge creators come from it.
Yep.
And people making all kinds of money and actually like becoming actors and getting to live out their dreams. Like that's fantastic. But if you're just doing a TikTok dance, I'm not about it. I'm sorry. Like thank you for expressing yourself and congratulations on being able to, and great on TikTok for becoming a platform for everyone to express themselves.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But do something creative.
Yeah.
I mean, make it worth my 10 seconds or whatever you get on there. Like,
yeah. And don't get me wrong. I'll go through TikTok and I'll send you a video.
Oh yeah. All the time.
You know, at least every other day.
Yeah. No. So one of the guys that I really like is Kerr88, and his name's Colton Kerr, and he is out of Stuttgart, Arkansas, actually. So not too far from here, but he owns and operates a hunting lodge, and he does all kinds of like nice cinematic stuff, and that's what he enjoys doing. And I've listened to a lot of his like live streams and stuff where he talks about it, and he enjoys the recording side of things. So even though he guides hunts, he says, I'd rather pick up my camera than my gun most days.
Wow.
Which I'm the same way. I mean, I love hunting, but I also love to film things. And I know that there's things like outdoor nature filming is some of my favorite things sometimes. And so I love it when I get to do that. So I fully understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And he just makes cool, like funny videos that, I mean, I can relate to because it's the same type of hunting and stuff that I do, you know?
Yeah. So there's this guy on YouTube. He plays guitar for Bethel.
Okay.
And I've seen him on TikTok, but mainly it's YouTube. And it's cool because I'm pretty sure, I don't know how he does it. I'm pretty sure he puts like a GoPro or something on the end of his guitar.
Okay.
And it's awesome because the way he does it, you can hear like the click track.
You
can hear what he's playing and kind of almost what he's singing. And being a worship leader, that's cool. It's cool to see how they set up. It's cool to see how they set up the stage, how they play, and what all they do. And it just puts in perspective that it's not just we're gonna go up here just because we're good musicians and it's gonna come together. It's proof of work, and it's proof of doing your individual thing.
Yeah.
And God still gets the glory for it. But it's just cool to see the work that's put into it.
Oh yeah. Another one I like, kind of a comedy one, is the Oh You Betcha guys. You seen those?
Oh, You Betcha.
They do like exactly.
Yeah.
They do like all the dad jokes, and they put out one the other day that was coaches then versus coaches now, and it's like, oh my gosh. They start talking. I'm like, yeah, that was my coach. I remember being like that, exactly. And oh man. And then John Michael, his username is John Michael 1966, but it's Ricky and the Boss. Like he wears like a hard hat, and it's hey Ricky, what do you think about it? Was got a problem with the safety man, and that dude is so funny. But it's that I love that blue collar stuff, like because that's a lot of like the people that I hang out with, and and so it's just funny.
Yeah, man. Somebody that I watch a lot. I listen to his podcast, and he's got YouTube, but he's on TikTok too. It's Theo Vaughn.
Yeah,
and he's a comedian, and he's hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious. But as I'm watching him and he's telling these stories, I'm just like, how in the world does his brain expand to think about that?
Yeah,
you know? It's absolutely crazy. It's awesome. But I find myself gravitating towards things and people that blow my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does this happen?
Yeah. And the people that like get to do the things that I want to do that I don't necessarily have the opportunity to do at the time.
Yeah.
So like one of them was Maggie Williams. She's a female hunter here out of Arkansas.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool stuff. She gets to hunt with one of our friends. And so she goes down to our friend's land and hunts some, and they're close. So, but like, getting to do things like that, getting to travel and hunt and to meet cool people, and I always think that's neat. It's one of those things that like they get to live out those things, but they get to share their experiences, which is a lot, I think, of what we do. And like what we're doing on this podcast is like sharing experiences, sharing stories that we have. Cause I mean, I think we could sit here all day and just tell stories back and forth about all the dumb things we've done before. And all the like weird situations we've been in.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it could be crazy. Like, oh gosh, if we start going in like all the ghost stories and stuff,
that's
probably for another day. We could probably do a full episode on that, really.
Yeah,
because there's a lot.
That at the time when I heard some noises in the annex is the reason I got my concealed carry.
Oh my goodness, when that thing, the day that I had a little bobblehead fly off my desk and hit me in the arm, and I thought somebody had thrown it.
And nobody was around?
To this day, no one. I was the only one in the building. Whew. And it like straight across hit me in the arm, and I'm like shaken by it. I mean, it's crazy just to think about.
Things.
So we've talked, before about some podcasts that we listen to too, and those really do get creativity going for me, and both from how they're recorded and the topics that they're about too. Like both of them. Really, I find interesting, and I really get a lot out of.
Yeah. So, there's these guys. I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's FRDI. It's called the FRDI show. Or, I don't know if it's Freddie show. I don't think it's Freddie. But anyways, and
they use little lapel mics.
Yeah,
as
they use
mini microphones.
Like sitting here talking like that.
That's the one thing that bothers me with it.
Yeah.
As an audio guy, as an audio engineer, I hate that. I'm just like,
because one of them
get a real
mic, super loud, and
all you hear is them breathing.
Yeah. But they're funny, and what they do is people send them in stuff to talk about, and they just talk about it. Yeah,
which would be awesome. I'd love to do that here. You don't get to do it all the time, but like if you at least have a topic or something, that'd be awesome. So if you're watching or listening, go to our social media and send us a message and drop a line or something, and we'd love to like talk about stuff. So, I mean,
Good Dudes
we're
Podcast.
down. Good Dudes Podcast everywhere, pretty much everywhere. Yep. But Yeah. So getting your creativity out, I think that's a big thing. Last week, I talked about that quote that I saw, that creativity is like manna, like manna from heaven. That if you don't use it, it'll rot.
Right.
And I really think that's true. So how do you use it? How would you say on a normal basis, on a weekly basis, you use and get out that creativity?
Man, I think you just gotta look for opportunities. Anything you do, you just gotta. You can't be afraid of your own thoughts on things.
Yeah.
For me, I get so insecure about comparing what I think to what others think and stuff like that, and so you can't let that hold you down, and also lean on other people at the same time.
Yeah.
Like me and you, we'll just get together and like any videos that we make, it ends up good, but it didn't start that way.
Sure.
It started out with just a thought.
So started with just an idea.
Yeah. You can't be afraid to take that step, no matter what you think people are going to think, because, like I said earlier, I'm drawn into something that I haven't seen before, and I think that's a lot of people. And so, if you want that to happen, do something that it's out of the norm.
And I think it's different almost for us sometimes than everybody else, because we both have very, very creative jobs, and we work in a very creative environment. Almost too much sometimes, because like we can get in this routine where we're living Sunday to Sunday. And I've found myself there multiple times where it's just, I'm just working to get to the next Sunday, the next big event for us, or the Wednesday or whatever it is. And just being creative to get to that point, not thinking big picture or long term or anything like that. So it can be hard. It really can. And almost discouraging at times. But like for me, I mean, I do an average of probably 5 videos a week. Which is a lot. And that's a lot of creativity. But a lot of those, like probably 2 or 3 of those videos are just, the same thing every week. So there's not a whole lot of creativity that goes into them. So I get the ones that do, and then also like in work still, like, lighting and audio and all that, I get to be really creative, and that's a huge part of my job. But I think out of work, like when I leave and go home, like I'm still being creative in different ways, and it's still such a huge part of my life. They almost just can't help it. Like I've always got some project going on. Like right now in my garage, I've got my motorcycle and a side-by-side that both need a lot of work right now. And to me, that is still being creative, because I'm still like working on something. I love woodworking. I mean, I built a patio set, and, and even talk about this table, like, wanting to change it up and like maybe stain the top of a different, color or something. And there's all these different ways of being creative that aren't necessarily shooting a video or writing a song or drawing something, because I can't draw anything with stick figures.
And just because nobody sees it doesn't mean it's not creative, and just because it's not the biggest thing that you've done doesn't mean it's not creative. Everybody's creative. God put that in them. And so whether it's
everybody sings in the shower,
exactly,
okay.
Everybody sings in the shower. Everybody gets that.
I put on concerts in the shower.
Oh, dude, it's a big
drums
thing.
And all.
It's a big thing. I use my I got a little. I use.
Uh-oh. You about to tell on yourself here?
Yeah, yeah. I use a loofah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, mainly.
And so it's sometimes as my microphone. I'll
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get past that real quick. But everybody's got that, once in a year thing where they'll rearrange their furniture or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
Or, organize.
In a year. Yeah. Well, how many women? I can tell you right now, my girlfriend does it like every other month.
Yeah.
Like every time I would be over at her place, something would be different. Something would be rearranged. I'm always like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's cool because it's so, when you get inspired by something like that, and then it's cool. It's just, and it keeps you from fun.
It keeps you from getting in a rut.
Yeah.
Which I think is so easy to do, especially as young adults. Like it could be so easy for me, or I think of a lot of my friends and people who have just regular 9-to-5 jobs. A 9-to-5 job where it's, as soon as you leave, you're done. Like, you don't have to worry about it or think about it or anything. I could think and see it becoming so monotonous if you're not being creative outside of it.
Yeah.
Like, if you wake up every morning, eat the same breakfast, you have the same bowl of cereal, you drink the same coffee, you drive to work, you're at work all day, you do the same thing every day, and then you leave and you go home and you veg out watching TV. If you're not doing something creative in there, like, it can just be so monotonous. And even like, going for a hike or going for a walk, even, just doing something to change that up.
Yeah. It can't become a job. It can't, you've got to keep your, whatever you do, you got to keep it personalized, something with a little bit of your touch in it, to where it's not something that's just repetitive and then you'll get burnt out. And I'm sure that you've come up with different ways, like you said, that you'll go on a hike or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, are there any other things? What do you do not to get burnt out as far as making videos?
That's a hard thing for me, because I don't know. I've been in a place lately where I almost have been burnt out, just because what I was going to talk about is you can go too far too. You can be too creative all the time. And there's a time where, that jar is going to run out.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the ocean here. We're talking about a glass of water.
Right.
There's only so much that I have at a time before I've got to stop, and I've got to just have those days where I sit and veg, or have some other way of being creative. And I think for me, a lot of time is switching up what I'm doing to be creative changes things.
Yeah.
So like, I haven't done any like manual like creativity thing in a long time. So I was just feeling burnout and feeling like monotonous and getting in just the routine of doing the same thing every week. And then I picked up this side-by-side project, and it helped so much. Just having that creativity pointed in a different direction other than shooting a video or other than shooting the same video.
Right.
And there's a lot of times I think that when you do have one of those big projects, you've got to step away after that and just be like, okay, that was awesome. I did good. I completed it. I got everything done that I needed to. Now on this side of it, let's take a break for a second.
Yeah. Let's rest.
Let's
reflect.
Let's enjoy what we've created.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard part for me, especially, is enjoying what I've created, because we are our own hardest critic. And so a lot of times all we think about is the negative side of it. And we don't think about like, that was so good, and that was so cool that I got to do this thing or make this video, and we don't enjoy the end result, And because I enjoy making videos, I enjoy the whole process, setting up, tearing down, shooting, all of it. I really do enjoy it. But if I don't enjoy that finished product, then the next one's going to be so much harder to start. I think back to the cow tipping video we made with Mike, and we just went and had a fun time. We were out there for 2 or 3 hours of just hanging around, messing around, like, oh, it'd be hilarious if you did this, or it'd be funny if you did this. And just joking around. Yeah. And then editing that video was so much fun too. And we got done, and it came out to a project that I loved getting to watch every week.
Yeah. And then everybody loved.
Yeah. And it was awesome. And then I made another video that I got done, and I was like, it's whatever. Well, then I didn't want to do another one for a little while,
Right, yeah.
Just because it was like, I didn't enjoy this one as much. Maybe am I losing my touch here? Am I not doing something right? So it can be difficult, to keep that going.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to hear Brooke answer that question.
Oh man, yeah.
So Brooke Cagle is one of our friends. She does this for a living. I mean, she does photography and design as her full-time job, a freelancer. And yeah, I'd love to hear her answer that question. That's interesting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'd like to hear just some of her stories.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure she's got some cool ones.
Oh yeah.
I think about from a worship perspective, and burning out. And it can kind of be, I don't know if monotonous is the word for it.
Oh,
but
it is. Yeah.
planning these songs, making sure they go together, and then doing it for Wednesday, doing it for Sunday, and then practicing them. It can be routine.
Yeah.
And
especially when you're doing the same songs.
Exactly.
You know, and in worship, you almost have to an extent. That way that everybody has the chance to sing it.
Yeah. And especially there's songs that I get so pumped about, getting to lead or getting to play in. And there's songs that I've done 1,000 times ever since I've been doing worship and you just got to remember why you're doing it and who gives you the inspiration. And I think that's why you got to, at least for me, you got to keep your walk with Christ. You got to keep that going. You got to keep it going, because that's where my energy comes from. That's where my inspiration comes from. And that's how I don't get burnt out, is because if I'm walking with the Lord, I can never get enough of him.
Yeah.
So if I can never get enough of him, then I'll just keep wanting to push and push and push towards worship and setting up Wednesday nights and even the small things.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time that's how we that's how we get filled up. Is a lot of times by Sunday morning. And I think, especially for both of us, really, I mean, Sunday's technically a work day.
Yeah.
And so in leading worship or leading tech and making sure everything's running is difficult. And sometimes it doesn't allow us the opportunity to worship. I know, especially for me, I'm not singing, so I'm not worshiping in the moment. I'm making sure everything else is happening, whether that be live stream or sound or the lyrics on the screen or whatever it is. And so there's so much other stuff I'm focused on that I've got to have a different time of the week that is my time to worship, my time to fill up and be poured into versus pouring out. Now, how is that for you? Is it the same, or because you're singing?
A little bit of both.
Not to say it's a performance,
right?
But you still have to perform.
Exactly, and especially when there's a lot that goes into our services. Like we have a welcome video, we have the song set, and for a while I kind of struggled with, we're so it might be so down to a T that we're not giving the Spirit any time to move around and do what it wants to do. But in a setting like at Eastside, it kind of has to be.
Yeah, and I know I'm so bad at it, because that's the director side of me. Is I want to hit this time frame. I want to hit this. This is where we need to be at this time. This person needs to be leaving, and this person needs to coming on. And it is, it's difficult. And that's something that, I struggle with too, is just keeping it from being just a production and still keeping it a service, not a production. Yeah. And it's hard. Yeah. Because there's so much that you want to do, and then that it's hard for me to give the mic to somebody else. Mm-hmm. If I can't say, hey, this is what you're talking about, it's hard for me to go, oh, hey, here's a microphone. You walk up on stage and say something. Because it's like, oh no. Yeah. Are they going to take 5 minutes? Or are they going to take, 25 minutes? Right. Because I feel like our internal clock is pretty good. Mm-hmm. I can tell you how long a song is roughly. Mm-hmm. And if it's longer than that, then I start to feel it.
Yeah, you can feel it.
For someone who's not used to it though. Yeah. We've had people walk up there and to talk or do something. And then 10 minutes later, it's like, okay, guys, we have other stuff that we've got to get to. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of it too, is we try and push so much into our service to get as big or as much of an experience as we can, that you've got to have that timeline. Yeah. But leaving room for the Holy Spirit to move is difficult, especially for me. But difficult in the setting that we're in, for sure.
And I think that's kind of it's a tricky line to walk, because that's our job. Yes. That's what that's what we do. Yeah. And, there's.
And if we don't, and if we do go over by too much, we get a note. Yeah. Or we get an email, we get a phone call.
And our test, it's almost, you study, you put in the work, and our test is a Sunday. That's when everybody
Sundays are game days. That's what I look at it as.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's
perfect. Football or whatever. Sunday's game day.
We watch film. We prep.
Oh my gosh, do we watch film? Yeah. We prep all week. We practice on Wednesdays.
We have meetings with the coaches.
Yeah. Oh man, that's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's game day.
Yeah.
And like Sunday morning, and I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
and so
good.
it's kind of, it's tough. You know, how do you establish trying to do the best of your ability versus letting God have all the control in it?
Yeah.
And so like that kind of goes with what I said earlier, you got to make sure that you're walking with the Lord and that he's guiding you where you need to go.
And having all that creativity. Because like for us, we've got 4 people who design our services and plan out our services. Mm-hmm. That's 4 people's creativity that we're trying to pack into an hour.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's so much. It's like, I have an idea and you have an idea and then Matt has an idea and Rick has an idea. And it's like, oh man, okay.
Yeah.
Whose all are we doing? Yeah. Whose do we have time for? Whose can we fit in?
Yeah, and all the different personalities. You got your visionaries versus your step by step. What's it going to take to get it done? And and that's with a minimum of a week's prep in one service, and it all comes together in one service. And so
it can be a lot.
Yeah,
it really can be, and it is hard to stay creative in that moment too, and not get monotonous in week to week services, because we could very easily get up there and do the same thing every week and not.
Oh yeah. I like to bring some other people from
freshness,
a staff.
Oh yeah. A different staff. Yeah. Oh yeah. A different worship team to hear. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different views and perspectives on things.
Yeah.
As
absolutely.
far as Sundays go and prep and yeah.
Pretty
cool.
Yeah. There's a lot to creativity. I mean, there really is.
Yeah.
And being creative people, I mean, and everybody is to some extent, but like there's some people that are more than others, and especially in just the field that we've chosen, with music or with the arts, it's different than, a technical person.
Right.
Like somebody that works for IBM, maybe like, I don't have this much creativity. It's ones and zeros,
Yeah.
And for us, it's like we have all the colors of the rainbow to play with,
Exactly.
all the crayons in the box that we're going to mess with,
Yeah, man.
But yeah. Cool. You got anything else on creativity?
No, man. It's you think about, you see the word creativity and you think, oh, it's how you can draw or paint or this. You're doing creative stuff whether you think about it or not.
Like I said, singing in the shower, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're putting your own concert on.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Does your toilet paper go this way or does it go around back?
There's only one way.
Which way?
It goes over the top.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's what's on the patent for it.
I agree.
Like the original patent.
Oh, there's a legit patent?
Mm-hmm. There's a legit patent. That's also how the military in their handbook has it too.
Oh, it's military handbook?
It's legitimately in there. That's what they teach them at basic. Yeah. It's got to be that way.
I got a buddy that just got back from basic. I'm going to go give him a hard time about it.
For sure. I mean, it was at one time. I assume it's still that way, but like, there's only one way to do it. That's, Psh. Okay, so last week we did top 5 country songs. And so hopefully everybody's voting on that. Mm-hmm. We're still waiting to get the results from that. But this week we're going to do top 5 movies.
And this was another tough one.
Oh, I know. We started out with a couple hard ones.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was like, there's so many good old movies and there's so many good new movies.
And there's different genres.
Yeah. And you think about like movies from when we were kids and movies from young adulthood. And then,
Yep.
And then I struggled with, I was like, okay, do I call this comedy special a movie? Because it's on Netflix as a movie,
true.
but
Ooh,
I didn't. But I very easily could have.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So what do you got? What's your number one movie?
So my number one movie when I think of favorite movies, Smoking the Bandit.
Okay.
And we talked about last week. You haven't seen it, which we've got to fix. We still haven't done it yet, but we should. It's so good. The black Trans Am with the bird on the hood. Question. Another trivia question I said last week. I like random facts. Mm-hmm. Do you know what bird is on the front of the Trans Am? Do you know the Smoking Bandit Trans Am?
I mean, I'm sure I've seen it.
The black Trans Am with the gold bird on the hood. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Let me Google it real quick.
Yeah, Google it. because it's very iconic, and it has a special name. Just type in Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am, and it'll literally be like one of the first things that comes up.
Right there.
Let me see.
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay. All right. So do you see the bird on the front?
I do.
Do you know what kind of bird that is?
I'm going to say falcon.
Wrong. It is a chicken.
What?
It is. I don't remember. I can't remember right now if it's the flaming chicken or the thunder chicken. I want to say it's the thunder chicken.
Can that be my spirit animal?
Right. Oh, I know, right? It's awesome. But yeah, everybody thinks it's a falcon or an eagle or something. But when it came out, it was called the thunder chicken or fire chicken. I can't remember exactly which one. Either way, it's awesome. Yeah. But it's a chicken. It's not like an eagle or a falcon or like something cool.
Yeah,
some cool bird. No, it's a cheap chicken.
That's good.
Because like those were the cheap cars. Everybody that bought Trans Ams were the people who couldn't afford the Camaro.
Oh, okay.
So they had that one. So they put the chicken on the hood.
Man, I really need to watch that movie.
You really do. It's so good. It's so funny.
Well, for my number one, solid. It's a classic. I'll watch it anytime it's on. Remember the Titans.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I really thought you were fixing to take one of mine. And I was like, oh, no.
No. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. See, this is where there's someone here that I really think, I think he would like this movie.
Yeah.
If he's seen it. But, like, there is so many. So Remember the Titans. That's a good one.
Yep.
All right. So my number 2... Talladega Nights.
That's a good one.
I'm on fire, Ricky Bobby.
Jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Oh, such a good movie. So many quotable lines.
And you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Will Ferrell.
I'm not either. But in that movie,
nobody else could have done a better job.
Shake and bake, baby. Shake and bake.
Gosh, man. I haven't watched it in a while. I need to rewatch it.
Put a live cougar in the car. There's a cougar in the car.
All right, my number 2 is The Rookie. It's got Dennis Quaid in it.
Yeah. I remember watching that a lot growing up.
Yeah,
a lot growing up.
You know, growing up, baseball's always been my
you're
favorite
a huge
sport.
baseball fan. Yeah.
And especially, you know, my favorite thing growing up was playing catch with my dad in the yard. I'm going to get sentimental here, but we'd play catch in the yard, and still to this day, if we ever play catch, I'll smile. Yeah. And he'll be like, "What are you smiling about?" I'm just like, "Because it's just fun. Yeah. It's fun."
Oh yeah.
And so that movie ties in with that part of my life.
Yeah.
And
I grew up with my dad throwing fastballs in my head, so a little slightly different experience. I was always a catcher.
Oh, okay.
So my dad was always like, "Let's practice," and he would just smoke them in there like as fast as he could.
But I bet you learned how to catch.
I learned how to catch them pretty quick. Yeah, man. So funny story. The only time I really think it's the only time I've ever played catch with my mom like that.
Mm-hmm.
She, my dad said something and I was looking the wrong way and she just threw it without me paying attention and gave me a black eye.
Are you serious?
To this day, like the only time I've ever played catch. She was like, "I'm never doing this again."
She hurt her baby.
Yeah, she hurt her baby. I'm not
good.
the baby. It's okay.
That's good. What's your number 2?
It was Talladega Nights.
Oh,
so what's your 2?
Yeah.
It's your turn.
Rookie was number 2.
Oh, so I'm on 3. That's what it is.
Okay, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
We're back on track.
Oh man, that was rough. All right, number 3.
Trace.
Iron Man.
Okay.
The first one.
The original?
The first one,
okay.
yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The start of all the Avengers and all that. Yeah, Iron Man.
Dude, solid.
Still, I mean, such a good movie.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
And still holds up even at the end, even with all the rest of them being done, still holds up.
Oh, yeah. Man,
even though he's not with us anymore. Oh, dang. I hope everybody got that reference.
Yeah.
Okay, so Marvel or DC?
I got to go with Marvel if we're talking about movies. I think they've produced better movies, but
for sure.
DC, as far as characters and how they come to be, I think DC has some. It might be a little darker, but the Batman series, the Dark Knight series,
yeah,
that's
it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. And the Supermans are good. Batman versus Superman's good. Yeah. But yeah,
I'd have to say Marvel. I'm a Captain America nut.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So my number 3, Hot Rod. Man, I am about the stupid jokes. I am about it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I am about it.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that movie in a long time. That's funny.
Dude, I love Hot Rod. And I actually, that's one of them that I just watched like maybe last year for the first time.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's, oh gosh, I love it. It cracks me up every time.
That's funny. All right. So what are we on? 4?
Yeah.
Okay. So continuing with just the love dumb jokes. Christmas Vacation.
Oh, how did I forget about that?
I don't know how anyone ever forgets
that. Probably would have made my list.
I watch it every Christmas. Dude. I mean, from the time November hits, it's fair game.
Yes.
And I'll probably watch it 5 or 6 times.
Yes.
I mean, easily 5 or 6 times.
Oh, yeah. Hilarious. It's hilarious.
For sure.
Number 4. This one, I really like this movie. Obviously, it's in my top 5, but Interstellar, man.
My gosh.
The first time I watched it, I just sat there for like 30 minutes after I was done. I was like, what just happened? And it took me probably 2 or 3 times to actually grasp what was going on.
It's just so long.
It is. It's a very long movie.
It's so long.
It is a very long movie.
That's my only thing with it. I get lost, and I was like, I got lost early on the movie. Like I couldn't hang on.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are we done with this yet? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I mean, it was shot well and it was done well, but
I just like the mind benders, man.
Oh gosh.
I like them. Makes me feel
all right,
stupid.
So number 5. This is funny, and if my family's watching this, they're gonna think it's hilarious as well that I'm saying this, and they know I like it, but it's just funny. A movie that's on almost all the time.
Okay.
Shooter.
Oh man, with
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah,
dude, that's such a good movie.
The movie. Yes.
Right. There's a TV series.
The TV series, which is also fantastic. Very good. Yeah, the first season is very good. Yes.
But the movie with Mark Wahlberg. Oh man,
iconic, classic.
That's hard to beat.
Yeah. Oh, it's good.
I'm gonna have to change my top 5 now with Christmas Vacation and Shooter. Oh gosh, number 5. It's the Grinch, man. I can't not have the Grinch. I love the Grinch.
Now, which one?
How the Grinch with Jim Carrey.
Okay,
with Jim Carrey, nobody could have done a better job doing it. It's me and my sister and my cousins. We can just quote it pretty much from start to end. It's kind of it's almost like The Rookie. It's something that we watched a lot growing up, and now it's just almost we have our own inside jokes. I think
I've seen it too many times.
Really?
It's one of Darcy, my girlfriend's favorites.
Yeah.
And so she wants to watch it every Christmas, and I'm always just like, just bang my head into a wall.
Yeah. So the Grinch or Elf? Which one is
Elf.
the better Christmas?
Elf. Hands down. Hands down.
No.
Hands down. Yes.
Gosh. A lot of people say that, and I
One
disagree.
of my best friends growing up, The Elf is his all-time favorite movie, like above all else.
Really?
Yes. Oh, it's so much better.
It is. It's a fantastic movie, and Will Ferrell does another good job in that movie.
Yes, Will Ferrell does a great job in that movie.
I don't know. I guess because it kind of ties in with my childhood. I guess that's why I'm kind of biased with the Grinch. But
yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Man, you got any honorable mentions? I've got some honorable mentions.
Oh, dude, you go ahead. I know I do.
Okay, so I've got another 5 honorable mentions.
Oh, you have another 5? Okay.
Yeah, just as ones that like I came up with and I was like, oh, they're so good, but they're not in the top 5 for sure. Shawshank Redemption.
Who? What?
Shawshank Redemption. You've never seen this?
Shawshank, like.
Oh my goodness, people! Please let me know if you've seen Shawshank Redemption or not. For real,
dude? I'm serious.
Oh, it's so good.
I guess I'm not very cultured.
I don't think you are a little homeschool kid. Come on now. I love making homeschool jokes. The Green Mile.
Okay.
Have you seen that one?
Nope. Bits and pieces, just because different videos, it's everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
You can't miss it. But I've never
hey, boss, come on, boss.
Sat down and just watched
boss. Dumb and Dumber.
Okay, yeah.
Always get the first one.
Right.
Caddyshack. People, please tell me you've seen the movie Caddyshack. Man, we're going to have a movie day, I guess. Like
a movie weekend almost.
I mean, we just need to make it a thing, I guess. Okay, and then Die Hard.
I know that it's a fantastic movie.
Also, hot take right here. Die Hard is my favorite Christmas movie.
And I've heard
for everyone out there who
is there a discussion that's
knows
like
Die Hard is my favorite Christmas movie. So Die Hard takes place like in the movie. It's Christmas Eve and Christmas, which technically makes it a Christmas movie,
right?
But it's not a Christmas movie. It's not. It has nothing to do with Christmas. If you miss the first 5 minutes of it, you would have no idea that it's Christmas. In the last 5 minutes, you would have no idea.
Is that a debate?
Yes. Oh, very much so.
Because my question is, which I haven't watched yet, so I don't know. But any other movie that takes place on any other holiday, does that make it that kind of movie?
I think so. It's at least fair game.
Okay, I'll have to watch it.
I like it.
I'll
it's
have
a good
to watch
movie.
it and let you know.
But another fun fact: Die Hard is the doll that hit me in the arm, like the ghost story. I have the little doll of the main character of Die Hard.
Really?
Bruce Willis, yeah. And it's the character that hit me in the arm of the ghost story. Yeah, freaky.
Where was that at? Was
in
that
my office?
In your office at the church?
Yeah, in my office. And I have speakers that are like shoulder height, and it hits like straight across.
Is it one of the ones that's up there now?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like if you're sitting in your chair, they're like
they're at my shoulder
right here,
and they hit me like straight across. I'm dead serious, man. Like it was the craziest thing I've ever experienced.
I would have left.
I really thought that somebody had snuck into my office because I was listening to music fairly loud, which would explain if they were bumped off. Mm-hmm. But like I'm a good foot away from the speaker, and it hit me even with the top of the speaker. So there's no way.
No
way. One day we'll have to do ghost stories. That should be a new topic.
Yeah, we can do that.
We just do ghost stories one day.
Got a few.
We've got a bunch,
dude.
But. So cool. So we will post these top 5 on social media and let you vote on them. And please let us know what are your top 5 favorite movies, or which ones do you not qualify, and also is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And if you say no, you are wrong. So
and I apparently am not very cultured.
And
so
Logan needs to watch something other than Marvel movies or movies about baseball.
Baseball and Marvel. What else is there?
Yeah, what else is there?
Yeah, but let me know what movies I need to watch because apparently I'm missing out on a lot.
Yeah, that's a good comment. Yeah, leave a comment if there's a movie that you think Logan should have to watch, whether we said it or not. But if there's one that he should have to watch,
and I will give it my best shot.
We will do it. Maybe we'll make a video doing that.
There we go.
That's funny.
There we go. Awesome.
All right, cool. Well, till next time. See you, dude.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Good Dudes Podcast.
To stay up to date with everything going on, follow us on all social media platforms at the Good Dudes Podcast. And we'll see you in the next one.